how to make a language learning plan that works. So a lot of people try and learn a language and they don't actually have a proper plan in place, and what that usually results in is that they don't really make any progress. So I'm basically going to walk you through in this video how to make an actual plan that you can follow along to guarantee your progress and make efficient progress. So definitely hit the subscribe button and let's go. So before we actually talk about how you can make a plan, we need to understand how a plan works, why it's beneficial. So a plan that does work basically contains things that we need to learn the language. So as you can see, apart from the fact that the bottom of the screen is being covered, and that's really, really annoying. I need to figure out a way to fix that. But basically on the left, this star is representing basically the language, which you don't know. And then of course, long-term memory, which is where the language is going. So the whole language learning process is effectively us taking the language that we don't understand and locking it into our long-term memory. That's the language learning process that you can't really see at the moment because it's being covered by the bottom of the screen. And within the language learning process, the things that we're actually doing are effectively acquiring micro skills. So things like learning vocab, learning grammar, etc. Just things in the language, and then improving our macro skills. So our abilities to read, write, listen, speak, etc. That is effectively the entire language learning journey. So whatever plan we're setting ourselves effectively we need to ensure that our plan is helping us improve our abilities in all of these things. Otherwise, it's not a particularly good plan. It needs to be both productive, which means we're making progress, and it needs to be doable as well. If we set a plan that's ridiculously difficult, we don't have the motivation to do it, we don't feel like doing it, we don't have time, we're basically not going to get anywhere, and that's of course not good. So I will say before we actually talk about the plan, don't be a perfectionist as well. Some people are, I'm not sure what the word is, I might have to invent a word, but basically they love to plan and they love to try and get everything perfect. And what actually happens is they have an execution problem in that they don't actually do anything to make progress. They just plan and plan and plan and worry that their plan isn't perfect enough. That's all rubbish. Don't worry about, learning a language in the wrong way. As long as you're actually doing stuff, you will make progress. And although it's not necessarily the fastest progress you could possibly make, you will still make progress if you actually do put effort in. So the first thing I will say is to make sure you start with a habit tracker, because consistency is king. If you don't know what consistency means, it basically means doing the same things repetitively over time without taking enormous breaks so that you can make progress. And the reason consistency is king is because, as we talked about before, you're trying to get a foreign language into your long-term memory. The way you get things into your long-term memory is, there's technically three ways, but the most common way is that you're going to be using a lot of repetition to effectively teach your brain that new information is important, and that is why we need a habit tracker to ensure that we are consistently doing the same good habits so that this new information can get into our brain. So a few good habits include flashcards, reading, listening, and there's plenty more. I will have a video pop up on the screen right now that actually elaborates on other good things you can do. But just to talk about these three a little bit, flashcards are great. I'd highly recommend you use digital flashcards just to test yourself with. And you can, if you use something like StudyStack or Anki, you can actually download other people's flashcards without having to design your own. You can literally download a stack that's already there. So you could search up French food words and that would probably exist. And yeah, they're really useful. You can also make your own and pair them with something you're reading. So if you want to, read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, for example, in whatever language you're learning, you can take a bunch of words that you don't know from the chapter you're reading, put them into flashcards, memorize them, and then you could potentially even reread the chapter, and that would be really good. Another thing you can do is listening as well. Listening is really good to pair with things, like you can listen to something while you're exercising, while you're doing chores, etc. But overall, listening is just great. I think it's very underdeveloped for a lot of people, and it's generally a bit harder than reading. And after all, you're learning the language to speak it, so you're going to have to listen to it as well. And yeah, those are a few of the basics. Just try and make yourself a plan that is fun. It should ideally be fun to do. A couple habits each day that you can stick to, and then also a few sessions a week to actually study in. If you do need a hand making a plan, I'd highly recommend you jump in the Discord we have below, and you can message me. I'll give you a hand with that. As far as studying goes, you basically be taking notes on grammar, watching videos from like native speakers of the language to help you with it, etc. And yeah, that's basically all there is to making a plan. The takeaway of this video is not to stress about getting a perfect plan. Just write down a few things that you enjoy and then pick two and try and do them every single day. to make progress in the language, and if you want to do more, you can do more on top of that, and you will make faster progress. But yeah, I'd highly recommend, guys, if you are looking to learn a language as a beginner, I've got a link in the description to the Language Learning Accelerator, which is my course. It's super, super cheap at the moment, and I highly recommend you check it out. But yeah, thank you for watching, and have a good one.